Good afternoon. This is your host, Tracy Halcrumby with Beauty for Ashes with Tracy. And we are a self-care, mental health awareness, and wellness podcast that encourages, inspires, and enlightens listeners on how to create wellness, overcome negative thinking, and develop healthy mindset strategies. Hopefully everyone is doing well. This is Mental Health Awareness Month. This is the month of May, and we have some amazing guests that we want to feature this month. One is none only than Dr. Nancy V. Brown-Willis. She'll be joining us in a few moments and telling us all about her work that she does in the community and for us globally in the community of mental health. We're going to bring her on without further ado. Hi, Dr. Nancy.
Hi, good
Hi, good
morning.
morning.
How are you today? How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you for having me on your show. Excited to be here and support a mental health awareness month.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, what we're going to do is get started. I want you to tell us all about your journey, how you got here. But first, we're going to introduce the audience to how we met and how that came about. Everything was just so amazing when we first met at NAMI, and you were there with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And it's just been a great match for us ever since. I've just been such grateful to have you with me and inspiring me to be the person that I'm becoming in this mental health field and in this arena. So tell us a little bit about your take on it and how we can move forward, because we got to hear all about your great work that you're doing with NAMI and all the other organizations and for your own Brave Girls Rise Up.
Thank you so much. Yes, it was definitely a match made in heaven. I was at a NAMI event, but I was also representing the foundation, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So I had a table set up and just, sharing some informational packages. We were there celebrating a lot of the volunteers and just a lot of the great work that NAMI is doing in the community as a whole. And mental health, NAMI, suicide prevention, they work a lot together. They all work in conjunction. They're a community. And so while I was there setting up the table and speaking to people, this wonderful lady, Miss Tracy, comes over and she's inquiring. She wants to know, what do you guys do? What is this about? And so, I started talking to her, giving her some information, and she was so gracious to share her testimony, her story. About her son's story. And definitely, that's an area of connection for a lot of us who have lost a loved one to suicide. And so I began to share a little bit of my story with her at that time. We didn't really have the time to really go deep into the stories, but the main points were shared. And I shared with her, I have a sister. She was a twin sister, and she passed away in 2020 from suicide. She was 30 years old, and she was a single mother, just went through a divorce. She had just purchased a beautiful home a couple of years ago from that time. And, it was the middle of the pandemic. Things were going on. People were under severe stress. Finances were being cut. Hours were being cut. Things were changing, shifting, and the world just was not prepared for that level of shift. She was dealing with depression, and it really took a heavy toll on her. She started to seek medical attention. She was under the care of a doctor, and she also was under medication from that doctor. And I believe her son was also in therapy during that time. And during this time, it was just a hard time for the family. She had to move out of the home. She could no longer be home alone by herself because of this heaviness of the depression. And she was on pretty much 24-hour watch with all the family members taking turns. And, you know, uh, things just happened. It got to the point where she just could not take it anymore. And unfortunately, we did lose her to suicide in the family home. It was very difficult for everyone. This is never something easy at all, but it definitely has pushed me in the area of advocacy as a survivor of suicide. many years ago as a teenager. But it brought it back to me where it's like, this is bigger than you, and now this is really on you to continue the work forward. And so, yeah, it's definitely been a challenge, but it's been also an honor, and I'm very, very happy to be here. And as far as not some of the work in the community that I've been doing, to share some of it. I've had the honor to be a volunteer with NAMI. I've been doing a lot of advocacy work in the community, going to some of the medical facilities, some of the psychiatric facilities, some of the different schools, and speaking about mental health and mental illness, and definitely educating the public. That's been a complete honor because I think that now we're getting to a place where we're more comfortable talking about mental health and asking questions. People come to me privately and ask questions that they don't feel comfortable asking in the group. And so now they know, okay, she won't judge me. I can let her know some of these concerns, and I can help to direct them to the right pathway, or the right person that can help them with the next steps to get them the right support. I've had the honor, as of recently, to become a part of NAMI's board of directors. And so I actually am being honored, or we're being honored, a couple of us, on Saturday. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to. I'm really excited about. Another thing that we do is we work a lot with law enforcement. You know, a lot of times, we've been seeing that if police officers are not properly trained, they can confuse someone who's having a mental health crisis for someone who's being violent and really out of control. When in reality is this person is not themselves right now. They're having a mental health crisis, and this is how we should deal with them. And so sharing with them some of our stories and educating them has really been beneficial. That's something that we're getting ready to do on a state level, and I'm really excited about. Another thing that we do is we work with mental health professionals. The new doctors that are out. So we'll have like a symposium, a big room where they are all in there, and we're educating them. We're talking to them about mental illness, mental health conditions, and we're talking about, we share our stories. We share what we went through a couple of times, or some of our loved ones have been through. And that helps them to get a better understanding and to see the patient as a person. Because what happens when you're dealing with medical professionals, they focus on the diagnosis, and you lose your identity in that. You lose who you really are in that. And so we bring them back into humanity, pretty much, to build that connection. And that's a lot of what we've been working on. We go to the state capitol. We work on different laws that we're fighting for mental health. The Parity Act is one that we recently got passed. We're so excited about, and we really did that as a community in conjunction with other mental health organizations. It's not just a standalone fight. It's a battle that we all need to win, because we're all in the fight together. So NAMI and American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, they do a lot of work together. And I'm also on their committee, on the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, now switching over. I'm on their planning committee, and sometimes we have to figure out, what type of marketing are we going to use in the train stations at MARTA, in Georgia. Not just in Georgia, but right now I'm speaking about Georgia, but on a national level, obviously. And and making sure that it's short and to the point. What is it going to cost to have it on the billboard, on digital versus the standing one? So there's just a lot that goes on behind the scenes for people that are really, really, really passionate about this work. We have to contact morgues. We have to go to funeral homes. We have to do a lot of footwork, of connection and contact, because when someone loses someone to suicide, nobody's prepared for that. And the family is in disbelief. The family is in severe shock, and they need next steps, support next steps. And so for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, one of the things that we do something called healing conversations. And I'm actually one of the people that does the calls for that. So I'm one of the peers, coaches, supports for that. And what we do is we call the loved one, we talk to them, and we let them just, share what they feel safe sharing. Some people share everything in detail because they're just like, you don't understand what I saw, and a lot of times, another thing that we normally talk about as loss survivors, and we can relate to this many times, is people tend to stay away from us because they don't know what to say. They don't want to offend us. They don't want to say the wrong thing. And also, suicide doesn't just affect us, the people in the family or in the household. It affects the loved ones, the people that knew that person, or the people that know you and know you lost a loved one, and they just don't want to offend you. They don't want to trigger you. They're learning about mental health, and they're learning to be a little. Some people are learning to be a little more sensitive with their words and or watch their mouth before they talk because they really don't understand triggers. They think it's something that people can control, but triggers can be environmental. It can be a smell. It can be a sound. It could be something you see, something you hear. And so people are getting a little more educated. They realize it's not just something that you can just pray away or it goes away, but it's something that heals with time. And everybody's on a different level. Another thing, and I'm gonna make this one quick, Ms. Tracy. I know we have some more questions, but I do a lot of volunteer work with NASCA, and I do a radio show with them called Stop Child Abuse Now, and the focus for that show is really to stop child abuse. And so child abuse or abuse is not just emotional, it's not just physical, it's not just mental, it's not just sexual. It comes in many different forms. Some stories are people will share they were starved, they were put in a cage. So some things are very extreme. It's hard to listen to sometimes, but I think that there's a sense of empowerment for some of the people who come on the show because they've been shut down for so long, told to stay silent and made to stay silent and not share the abuse. But you stand on a platform where you're in control now of what you're sharing, and there has been a sense of empowerment for the survivors who share their stories. And I love to be a support to people through their transition. And last but not least, I do Brave Girls Rise Up. That's one of my organizations that I do with the at-risk youth community. I love it. I work with the youth who are incarcerated, and I've been on the advisory board with one of the locations. I'm the advisory board chair, actually, in one of the locations here in Georgia. And I love working with the youth, bringing resources to the youth. And I go to schools, I go to virtual events, I go wherever they need me to go and speak on that particular area. And yeah, so thank you.
You know what? I love it. I love it. I love it. It's one of those things where you do so much, but it's giving of yourself, which is amazing and wonderful. And the main thing we want to make sure that as we're talking about our mental health, that you find ways to stay balanced because there is so much going on and our plates are so full. And not only just with our work that we do for the community and for mental health, but just our personal lives. Like I said, you're back in school. Now you've added, which I want to congratulate you on. And I also voted for you for the NAMI board of directors position. That was just so amazing when I saw the letter come in the mail, and I just couldn't wait to sign up to make sure that I could do everything I could do to get you in. That's such an amazing accomplishment. I mean, you have so many accomplishments: doctorate, as doctor, as peer specialist, as an advocate, as an instructor, as an author, as a podcaster, as a expert in hair. People don't know that you are heavy. You are so heavy with this thing. God has blessed you tremendously to do the work in so many areas that you're doing. Let me just see, because it's great. I like the part that we've taken on, like yourself, with the grassroots community organizations, and that does help structure a community organization like mine, Joy Inside Tears, to have some direction on what we need to do to impact where we are. Like I'm in LaGrange, Georgia, and this is a rural area. And by that, what all to say is that being here, it's not like being in the big city, or in Atlanta, the city of Atlanta, where there's a plethora of information and organization. So when you don't have something created, because it's just what I did, and I started my community support group, and it happens once a month, and we're talking. The thing about it is dialogue, and we're not always talking. And what you mentioned before, you don't know what to say sometimes or how to say it. So we're talking about the verbiage. We're talking about how you recognize the signs and symptoms in those areas and what you can do to make sure if you're the first person to respond, whether it be you're in a mental health first aid role or just as an individual with a family member, how do you have a conversation with someone that may be having a mental health challenge? So I'm so thankful that you're in these places and you're able to support those in need. Just tell me, what do you see happening? Just even in your new role as the board of directors, what are you able to do? Where are you able to make an impact in that position at this time?
The wonderful thing about it is we're able to bring our ideas. We may have new ideas that we hear from the community. We're actually out in the community walking with the people. So we understand a lot of the needs of the people. We're sitting on the phones with the survivors. We're at people's homes. We go to people's homes at times. And so we are actually we're boots on the ground, to say the truth, to be honest. And so a lot of times, being able to sit in the back and be able to share an input or vote on something that is needed in the community, and having that extra vote in matters. That one extra vote. Thank you for your vote, as a matter of fact, Ms. Tracy, as well. But that one extra vote makes a difference. So sometimes we're like, oh, I don't need a vote because my vote doesn't matter. Your vote matters, and all you can do really is try. You really care, you really love, you really want to see a change in the community. All we got to do as a community is do our part to see that. For me, I just really think that for me, I'm going to be honest, I do a lot of healing through art. I heal through art. So I'm an artist. I love art. I love music. I love all those things. So, on my off time, creating hair and doing things like that, it's a form of art to me, and it is therapeutic for me. So I have a balance. And so, I do want to speak about, I know we will speak about the importance of balance, but yeah. So, in the new role for me, I just want to hear from the community. I want to hear the heart of the community and the needs of the community. And in any seat that I sit in, if I'm able to share an input or anything, I'm going to do that. That's my progress.
Well, I like how that sounds, and I like your motivation, because a lot of things you have to be mentally sound yourself to take on some of these roles. I know in my healing, which was definitely spiritual, we get to a point, even in, as they say in grief counseling, the last part is acceptance. And we have to accept some of the things that we know we can't change either way. So it makes sense for us to, if we don't want to be depressed, or if we don't want to be down ourselves, we have to do something about it. So it's about creating not only the balance for yourself, but trying to create an open and safe space too for people to have the dialogue. And now we're learning a lot about the verbiage. It's not an old thing that you can say now. Some of the things that we're used to saying to people, you have to really watch what you're saying. And somebody killed themselves. That's okay to say, but someone that's bipolar, or actually, like you say, giving them the label in your previous conversation, we have to be mindful. They're suffering from that. They're not that. They're not taking that on as a persona. They're not schizophrenic. They're suffering from something, or suffering from abuse, or like you say, now we're lost survivors now to suicide. So. I was also at the Capitol this year, and it was such an amazing thing to talk to the policymakers, the senators, and the representatives for our city. And it's just been an amazing time to be a part of such a great movement because we need it. Every time I'm turning on the television, it's something about if someone is in a shooting or of some sort, the person that did the actual act of the shooting is suffering from mental health, or they go to mental health about it. It's very relevant in the schools now. It's becoming very, very important that we have an impact and break those stigmas as well. So what are our next steps for is with some of the policies and laws that you're, like you said, the parity, we did 988. Tell us a little bit more about how far we've come and where we're going.
Well, we've come a long way. It's been a little challenging making some changes in Georgia. Sometimes it's kind of like the last place to make some changes, but we're really looking forward to the changes that are ahead because we have seen some movement. And I think now with the rise in suicide and I mean, the facts are just the facts. We're seeing the facts. And so we understand that this is an emergency 911. That's going to be, it's going to take a collaborative effort and everybody is putting their hands together to the plow. So I've been really encouraged because I'm seeing the passion behind the people who are sitting there. Unfortunately, many of the lawmakers have been affected by mental health, whether it's themselves or their family. We have judges that are dealing with anxiety. The state capitol, a lot of the workers there are dealing with anxiety after they were bum rushed in there. And just so much is going on. And so I think people are like, okay, we need more, more this, more that. And so it's been a lot of movement, a lot faster than expected. So I'm really excited. One of the things that we're trying to make sure that we do is that we really focus on bringing together, the importance of cultural diversity and inclusion, and really understanding that, if this is a melting pot, mental health does not affect just one group of people, but it affects us all. And so we're just creating resources that are really focused on the LGBTQ community and, and different religions. It's not just about one religion, the Latino community, the Haitian community, the Asian community, every community, and so we're trying to make sure that we get the resources and different translators and all of that to support the communities because we understand that language can be a big barrier in searching and reaching for support. So I'm also a crisis text line counselor. And so, a lot of times, so I'm a bilingual Texas, Lord, I'm a bilingual text crisis counselor. So I'm able to work with the community, the Spanish community, just the ones that are just texting. And there's a lot of words that they use that are slangs. And so we had to do extensive training for a few months to make sure that we were all on the same page. Um, so really, that's really what's going on. And I agree with you. For me, my healing is not just the arts. It's a multiple different areas, right? But God has really been my main healer in my recovery in the mental health because there's been areas that nobody can heal but God. There are things I cannot talk to anyone about but God. There's only one judge, and thank God that when I go to God, I'm not judged. I could just wake up to them and be like, you know what, God, I'm done with that. So I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. I've failed. I've fallen down. I've got back up. I've made mistakes at my best. I've made mistakes. So I'm at a point where I just don't judge people. I try to meet them where they are, and I try to meet them just with non-judgment and love. Nobody could really tell me anything that's going to surprise me or shock me because I either did it or I've heard of it or I'm supporting people that are doing it. So I'm like, okay, so how are we going to move on from here? What's our next step? And that's where I come from.
I tell you, that is the biggest part because we have no judgment, and if that would be a part of it, more people would be speaking up, as we know in mental health. They would be talking more about what's going on with them because it is the stigma associated. So if I know I'm going to be judged, why would I want to share this with you that I'm not feeling okay, or that I'm hearing these voices, or that sometimes I'm just down? I did maybe in my last meeting, what not to say to someone that's having a mental health challenge. You don't want to shun people or tell them, oh, something like, oh, you'll get over it. Oh, that's happening to me too. Or you need to just snap out of it. And things that we just can't say to people because we don't know how far they are in a moment of despair, how deep they've gone into depression, or how much that panic attack may have affected them just because they had a trigger or an environmental associated trigger. But it's so much to learn about mental health. And I'm so thankful, like yourself, being mental health first aid trained, and I'm also trained to instruct. So that makes good sense for us to teach people an action plan if you're around individuals that may be suffering, or that may be having a challenge, or that may be just needing to talk. Where that is to get into the conversation with them, to try to get them to seek professional help. And if you know someone right now who is in crisis, or you are in a crisis or experiencing a crisis, dial 988 or visit 988lifeline.org. We want to continue to put this information out there. This is Mental Health Month, but guess what? That's only 31 days. But we're dealing with mental health experiences every day, all day around the globe. This has become a national crisis. So let's not just celebrate it for May. What would you like to say to the people about that, Dr. Nancy?
I'm glad that you're mentioning that, because you're right. Mental health is not just May, and September, that's my birthday month, and that's suicide prevention month. And it's a reminder to me, like, oh, I need to be, focused on doing more of this work. But to be honest with you, mental health is everyday work, because every day we're losing people to suicide. Every day we're having people who are having anxiety attacks and being hospitalized because they're having these emotions, because they don't feel that they have a safe space to reach out for help. They feel judged. And so all this stuff piles up, and then you have your breakdown moment, and it can happen to the best of us. Trust me, I know. And so, I've been able to, I know I did some work with Keisha Wade. She's a city council in Atlanta. She did a symposium around mental health. Myself and a few other people from NAMI were there speaking on mental health, and we took questions from the community. We were on the panel. We were able to speak to the community and answer some questions. I think that those are needed. Doing more symposiums with NAMI. I've been doing a lot of work with different universities. I was just at Clark Atlanta, and I was also just at Kennesaw State, and and many other locations we've done work at. But I think it's important to be out in the community, find a way how you can volunteer, reach out to some of us. Miss Tracy also volunteers with NAMI and the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. If she doesn't know something, she could always ask. If I don't know something, I can always ask. And that's the importance of knowing that you're not alone in this. So when we say you're not alone, please know that you're not alone. Just as long as you reach out, and every little bit counts. You don't have to be a Miss Busybody like myself. I shared I'm back in school. I'm trying to finish my psychology degree. I'm also doing a chaplaincy program. I'm also finishing my master's in June for Christian counseling, and finishing my PhD right after that. And so only because, for me, with the way that I work, it works for me, But if that's not who you are, if you do one thing, you might just want to do a call a month. You may just want to visit a facility a month, or you may just want to call in and get support for somebody else. That's a lot. So anything that you can do, just do it. Take a step forward. And if you don't know how to get started, you can always reach out to one of us. You'll see my Instagram on there is Nancy V. Brown. My Facebook is Dr. Nancy V. Brown-Willis. And if you Google Nancy V. Brown, you'll find me if you need to find me. The website, nancyvbrown.com. And again, thank you for having me.
Well, this has been amazing, and I'm going to definitely put your information back up, but I can't stress enough, if you or someone you know are experiencing a crisis, please dial 988 or visit 988lifeline.org. Go see your counselor, seek your professional help. It's okay to just talk to someone about the things that you're going through. We like to thank Dr. Nancy so much for coming on our show today. This has been a blessing to me. This has been a blessing to the mental health community. Thank you for all the work that you do. And I look forward, my sister, to just doing some amazing things with you on some projects and letting God just use us as he's been doing. He's able. He said he could do exceedingly and abundantly above all we can think or ask. And I never thought or asked him to have you come into my life, but he has the providence. That's what it is. Never coincidence. It's providence. So the alignment that we have has brought this strong bond. You encourage me, you inspire me, and I'm so thankful that we have people that can speak and pour and that we can call upon to set a precedent to what this cause is all about. So thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything you want to say before we sign off, Beauty for Ashes?
Well, I definitely want to thank you, Ms. Tracy, for having me on your show. Thank you for being obedient to God and for putting your hands to the plow, doing the work, and being just such an asset to the kingdom right now. I just want to say that you're definitely a vessel. And it's been a complete honor to get to know you and to do work with you in the community. So I look forward to seeing more of you, and for God to continue to use us. Right now, this is a very open season for me. I told God, there's certain things that I said, God, if you want me to do this, you're going to have to do it because, it's been with, like you said yesterday, when God gives you so much is required of you. It's a lot, it becomes a lot. And so it comes with spiritual warfare. It comes with resistance. And I've just been heavily in prayer that God's going to send his people. He's going to send and release his angels in the season who will open up those doors. I will not have to fight my way through the doors or bulldozer my way through the doors. If the door's meant for me, God's going to make a way to open the door.
The doors and the windows are open. He said, just test them. The blessings are coming out. We don't have the room to receive it. And I'm a living witness. You're a living witness. Everything works together for good, for our good. Know that. Well, thank you so much. And we'd like to sign off. This was an amazing show. Beauty for Ashes with Tracy. Catch this episode. You don't want to miss this, talking to Dr. Nancy today. Thank you, and we will see you soon.